Greetings, friends. I pray that as we move into this weekend that you will discover afresh that God's goodness and grace, His love, His mercy, His care for you is endless. And yet I'm very aware for many of you, like me, that there have been seasons of pain and conflict tied to relational issues, tied to stress-related financial issues, and many other things that can keep you awake at night. It's one thing to go through spiritual warfare during the day. It's quite another to go through spiritual warfare at night. That moment when you lay your head to rest on the pillow, knowing in the back of your mind that it's God's desire to give His beloved sleep, but sleep is robbed from you, and you find yourself in your mind going back and surfing the channels and playing the rewind of relational pain and stress-related issues, anxiety loops. And then on top of that, knowing I need a good rest because tomorrow is a full day. You go through enough days like that and you can find yourself in some pretty painful places. I know what it's like to go through an extended, long, protracted season of that. I pray I've learned some things through it, but I want to be an encouragement to you. One of the readings for this weekend is from Psalm 4, and it's about sleepless nights. It's about warfare in the dark, when you lay your head to rest, and the powers of darkness in the dark want to make the darkness even darker, and you're looking for God to deliver you and provide a way for you to get your needed rest so you can move forward and sort through the issues you face with a sense of well-being and capability, because lack of sleep will take a whole lot out of you. And enough nights with a lack of sleep and all sorts of things can happen to you emotionally, psychologically, motivationally, and your moods can change and you can find yourself in a pit. Listen to the words of the psalmist. When I call, answer me, O God of my righteousness. In trouble, deliver me. Be gracious to me and hear my prayer. Now the psalmist is going to let us in on the struggles that are keeping him up at night. O sons of man, how long will my honor be a disgrace? How long will you love vanity? How long will you seek lies? So there's some relational conflict where he is being in some way marginalized by people, marginalized by relationships that he thought he had, marginalized by people that don't want to be around him. There's all sorts of reasons. Relationships are complex. You can think a relationship is fine, and then all of a sudden, something out of the blue that you didn't see coming hits you like a ton of bricks in the relationship, and you feel devastated. Oh, sons of man, how long will my honor be a disgrace? You can feel dishonored in moments like that. How long will you love vanity? The emptiness of certain things that when people make issues with you that are empty, they're vain, they're not the real issue, they're hiding behind a false issue because they've got another agenda that they're not telling you. How long will you seek lies? One of the most painful things to happen relationally is when people lie to you. That can violate every sense of trust. And trust me, that'll keep you up at night. But know that Yahweh has set apart for Himself the faithful one. Yahweh hears when I call to Him. Now the psalmist knows God hears, but he's asking God to answer because while he knows God hears, he hasn't heard. When you lay your head on the pillow at night and you need God to hear, but you also know He hasn't heard because you can't sleep, that's a conflict. And when it says Yahweh sets apart for Himself the faithful one, there's an irony here because he's been through relational conflict and he's been set apart from these relationships, and he's got to learn how to see it as, well, what they are doing to set me apart, God intentionally is delivering me and setting me apart from the toxicity that God already knew was there in those relationships that I couldn't quite see. Beloved, all of us have blind spots. And sometimes those blind spots can linger for a long time. And then when all of a sudden all those things are exposed, it can be devastating to us because We didn't see it. He goes on to say, be disturbed, but do not sin. Commune in your heart on your bed and be silent. So now there's this invitation to get quiet before God in this place where you need illumination, but you also need sleep. The stillness that can bring your body into a place of rest so that perhaps you can relax into that state that will allow you to sleep. He goes on to say, offer correct sacrifices and trust in Yahweh. He's talking to himself. Many are saying, who will show us something good? Lift up over us the light of your face, O Yahweh. Now, he's in the dark, but he needs a certain kind of light to be able to go to sleep. We need to sleep in the dark. The melatonin that is secreted in the hormonal regions of the body, in the endocrine system, it requires the dark for the melatonin to be secreted so we can go to sleep. And so that's one thing, but the psalmist is saying, but I need you to enlighten what's going on in me so I can understand what's hiding in these shadows that's eating away at me, that's getting in the way of my ability to rest. Now he reminds himself, you have put gladness in my heart, more than when their grain and their wine abound. They look like they're prospering, and I feel like I'm languishing. They look like they're flourishing. I look like I'm barely surviving. But you have put gladness in my heart, and you've got to reconnect with where that gladness is, because it is not a byproduct. It is the very fruit of the Spirit himself. He makes us glad. And he goes on to say, in peace, I will lie down and sleep at once. For you alone, O Yahweh, make me dwell safely. So the psalmist is reminding himself that there is the possibility that as Yahweh hears his prayer, as Yahweh hears your prayer, whoever you are, that there will come a sorting out, that God will bring about what is necessary to deal with the stuff that keeps you up at night. God will answer the prayer. God will deal with the fretting. God will help you deal with the anxiety. God will help you deal with the relational conflicts and show you, these are relationships I'm weaning you away from. I'm setting you apart from me. Walking not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standing in the path of sinners, nor sitting in the seat of the scornful. That's from Psalm 1. It's only 2 Psalms away from here. Your head will be able to hit the pillow. And while you know you need rest, you'll discover that you can relax into a place where the painful situations have been sorted out. You'll get there. And so there's going to come an end to the spiritual warfare. Second guessing, beloved, can keep us awake at night. Decisions we've made in relation to those relationships that hurt us. But remember, God set you apart. A lot of times, the people who set us aside and cause us the pain are actually doing something to help us, because we're realizing that God wants to bring us to a place where those toxic things can't contaminate us anymore. And so God wants to shed the light of his countenance on us in the dark so that we can lie down and sleep, knowing he is the one who answers our prayers. He will give us breathing room while we feel like we're being suffocated by the kinds of conflicts that keep us awake at night. And that he'll be gracious to us because he's the God of all grace. And he's also the one that makes it safe for us to exist. Beloved, God makes it safe for you to exist. And because he does, he will not leave you in the dark. And God will bring you to a place where you'll be able to lay your head to rest on the pillow and meditate in your heart on your bed of his sweetness, of his goodness, of his grace. And these seasons that we go through, we're not alone. The psalmist went through them. Paul in 1 Corinthians and 2 Corinthians speaks of sleepless nights without number because of the burdens he carried for the church. And insomnia is on the rise in the current culture, sleeplessness. Or you go to sleep for a few hours and you wake up and you can't go back to sleep. Something's eating away at us. Our bodies are on high alert. Our adrenaline is juiced to the point where our bodies won't relax. It's at those times you want to just turn to God and not allow fear to get in the way of your future, but surrender and say, God, heal me, and I will be healed. Affirm in the presence of God. He makes it safe for you to exist. He surrounds you behind and before. He knows your downsittings. He knows your uprisings. He knows before there's a word on your heart. He's going to deliver the situation into your hand. This will not prevail. You will, by participating in the triune life of the love that is the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, discover that you are more than a conqueror. This too shall pass. And in awakening, you will rise out of those dead, toxic things to a new awareness of what practicing resurrection is all about. I pray God's grace and God's mercy be yours in abundance. And I pray that if you are one of those like me who has battled many sleepless nights, that you'll take courage and know that your sleep will return to you. Those kinds of seasons of warfare won't last forever. And the God who makes it safe for you to exist will give you rest and give you peace. If you have no place to worship on Sunday morning, I invite you to join us online at COTLE Orlando and allow the Lord to just touch your heart and grace you. May God overshadow you with his mercy and grace, and may you know him to be the one who is ever gracious to you and gives to his beloved even sleep. Blessings.